Trying to change who you are is pretty futile. It's not a great long-term strategy because eventually you'll snap back to who you are. But knowing yourself better, exactly as you are today, this allows you to capitalize on your natural traits and tendencies to be more productive with a whole lot less effort because you're not fighting yourself every step of the way. And in today's episode, we're talking about something you might not know has anything at all to do with productivity, and it's where you fall on the introversion extroversion scale.
Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less.
Have you ever thought to yourself, my most productive days are the ones where no one speaks to me? Or the opposite? How come when I have a day all to myself with no meetings, it's really hard for me to get anything done? You very likely know exactly where you are on the introversion extroversion scale. Or at least you think you do. But did you know that you can use this knowledge to help you be more productive? However, before we get into exactly how, let's get clear on what introversion and extroversion really mean. Because you may have been led to believe that introverts are shy and extroverts are outgoing, and that simplistic dichotomy is a little more than misleading. In reality, extroverts gain energy and recharge by being around other people. They tend to prefer groups and they have a preference for more stimulating environments, while introverts gain energy and recharge while being alone. And they tend to prefer one on one interactions or very small groups and have a preference for less stimulating environments typically. And ambiverts, those lucky ducks, they fall somewhere in between in the middle and they tend to be a bit more adaptable. Now, you might be thinking, what does my personality have to do with my productivity? Well, a huge factor in productivity is energy management. And where you fall on the introversion extroversion spectrum helps you to define where you derive that energy, right? And what drains your energy. So, practically speaking, knowing how you gain and lose energy can help you figure out how to best plan out your day for optimal energy and then optimal productivity. How? Well, let's get into a few examples. So let's talk about extroverts first. So, extroverts, you got to schedule those meetings and your collaborative work for times when you're naturally low energy, like maybe a post lunch crash, right? So that you can capitalize on the fact that other people are naturally going to energize you. You also are going to want to build in some social sprints into your deep work days. So that could be like having a short conversation with a coworker or a friend. Maybe it's coffee with colleagues, something that you know is going to energize you in between long solo blocks of work, if you even get those at all, right? You also, as an extrovert, are going to want to choose work environments that have more stimulus, right? Coffee shops may be great or co working spaces. You're going to want to do this because when you need to do solo work and maintain that stimulation and your energy levels, you're going to need those other people around to make that happen. Now let's talk about introverts. So for introverts, you're going to want to plan those solo work sessions after high stimulation activities. So if you have to go to a meeting or give a presentation, you're going to want to have solo time afterwards to decompress. Now, even if you have to do work during that time, still solo time is going to help you to decompress, which is going to help you to keep your energy up. Now, if you're leading a meeting or leading a presentation, ideally you want to plan those for times when you know you'll be high energy and that you'll be more focused. Since the interaction that you have to have by giving the meeting or leading the meeting or the presentation, that is going to be draining to you. I am an introvert, right? And I find that, whenever I go speak at a conference or, I'm leading a big workshop for a company or something like that, I always need a lot of alone time afterwards just to get my energy back up. Now, as an introvert, you also may want to use headphones or like a physical barrier, like, working in a secluded spot or closing a door to minimize incoming stimulation that could drain your energy even further. Now, what about ambiverts? Yes, we're going to talk about ambiverts too. Ambiverts, because you can kind of flex in either direction, it means that you don't necessarily have a set of things you need to do to make sure that your energy is up or down, right? But what it does mean is you're going to want to check in with yourself and ask yourself, hey, do I need people right now or do I need quiet right now? And you're going to want to do this pretty frequently and adjust your activities accordingly. You also may want to choose more flexible environments, right? Environments where it is possible to move back and forth between solo spaces and populated spaces with other people. Maybe, something like a WeWork could be good because you can go out in the main area, or you could get one of those little phone booths. Or if you are working in an office, making sure that there are some spaces that are more private that you can go to. So sometimes some little conference rooms, etc. And you also, as an ambivert, although this is really good for everyone, you're going to want to identify your personal overstimulation signs, like what is happening when you get overstimulated, so that you can adjust your environment as needed. As I said, like I am an introvert. I need a lot of alone time, and I do work best in silence, or, as my family will attest to, with brown noise going on in the background. What about you? I want you to think about yourself. And most importantly, what is your next step to use this self-knowledge to better manage your energy and your time? We're all different. We all need different things. What works for some people may not work for you, and vice versa, even if you're both extroverts or both introverts. But once you know what works for you and your brain, you'll have a lot more agency and, dare I say, control over your ability to do more and stress less. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, share this episode with a friend or two who might appreciate a little more ease in their days. I promise you won't regret doing this 30-second good deed. See you next time.